Good morning from the Oxwagon camp. It's a beautiful day. The sun is out. Doesn't look like there's going to be much wind today, and we've got some cool plans for today. Something a little bit different from your normal Oxwagon Diaries series. Well, firstly, I'm alone. I don't have anyone with me this time because of the whole social distancing thing. I'm the only person out of the normal group of guys that managed to get a permit to come out here. But aside from that, Anton, who's here, young Anton, the farmer's son, he can't go to school because of COVID-19, so he's here at the farm, and he's got some connections with the neighboring farm. So he's offered to take me out to one of the farms that's really big next door here, that has a lot of big open fields with Egyptian geese and guinea fowl. So that sounds like a job for, firstly, the FX Impact, if we can get close enough, and also the 22-250 and possibly even the 260 if there's some longer shots. So it should be fun. We'll probably do some other stuff as well. There's some new spots with ground squirrels that I've seen around. There's probably monkeys running around as well. I doubt we're going to see many baboons. They've just seemed very, very scarce over the last few days, but there's a lot to do. So I'm going to make some breakfast. I'm going to take some time to set up my scope cameras, make sure they're all working perfect on all my rifles, and then we'll get going.
What you're going to see today is probably one of the most action-packed mornings we've ever had here, and it all starts with a very unexpected surprise while having breakfast. I was sitting in the sun gulping down some eggs and pork sausages when suddenly some grey figures catch my eye on the hillside in front of me, and it's straight into sniper mode as I slink back into the shadows and prepare to let the lead fly. If you're familiar with the Oxwagon Diaries series, you'll know that vervet monkeys are a big pest in this part of the country, and we can legally hunt them all year round with no bag limit. It may seem a little bit unfair to blast them with a 260 Remington, but one thing you must know is that they are incredibly good at hiding. There are a number of monkeys in this frame here, but they are so extremely well hidden in the green stuff that I actually didn't see many of them. One of them walks out into the open and gives me an opportunity, but drops his head as I squeeze the trigger and escapes unscathed. Lucky bugger. And yes, this is a pretty funny scene. Rifle between the fridge and the sink. That, my friends, is called a good start to the day.
Well, that was a bit of deja vu. I don't know if you guys remember the very first Oxwagon Diaries episode we ever made. We came out here, and on the first day we saw baboons sitting out there, set up in the kitchen here, in the shade of the kitchen door where it was dark, so the baboon wasn't spooked, with a 260, exact same gun, I think it was, or maybe it was Luke's gun, but either way, we were able to shoot that baboon. Well, the same things just happened here. I was busy having some breakfast, and I just saw a little grey shadow moving up there on the hill. So quickly moved inside in the shade, arranged him at 160, set up the 260, hit record on the scope cam, and managed to blast, I think, 3 of them. First one, I think I pegged the first one right in the chest, and the next 2, there's a little bit of recoil, so unfortunately I don't know even if I got that nice on camera. If I was using the 22-250, it probably would have come out a bit better, but 260, despite a little bit of extra recoil, got the job done. This has been a real stalwart for me. Has got a lot of monkeys down over the last few years, a couple of baboons. 22-250's kind of taken over just because reduced recoil means you can get better scope cam footage. Plus, it's a bit more suitable for small animals like the monkeys. But you know what? 260 does the job just fine. Would have liked to set up the scope cam a bit better. I don't know if the shots were clear or not, but oh well. Let's see how they came out. So the first monkey should be on one of these rocks here. So I'm looking out for a little grey tail or some fur somewhere here. I can already see the second one, but I want to do the first one first. Yep, there he is. I'm not going to go any closer than that. It's a little bit graphic. But here you can see where we were. We're right there in the dark door frame, lining up. 160 meters, pretty straightforward for the 260. And here's our second one. He was right there in that tree, so pretty easy to find.
Awesome. I know I missed the third one. I checked the footage. He did a little matrix move and dropped his head down as I took the shot, so I'm not even going to bother looking for him. That was a clean miss. But 2 monkeys down this morning. Great start to the day.
So let's fill this guy up. We've got a 580cc bottle, which should last a decent number of shots, but we are shooting 34 grain slugs, so 1,000 feet per second they chew up air. And the nice thing is that as the air warms up, the air in here will expand. So a hot day means you actually get more shots per fill.
Now I want to show you something here. Obviously I've got my slugs, 34 grain slugs, nice and big. I'm going to fill up my magazine, but something I want to show you, this is from a company called Field Pro. It's basically the 68 whiskey guys. It's a 3D printed quick fill ammunition holder. So basically what you'll do is you'll fill this guy up with the heads facing up, so the back of the slug or the back of the pellet in there. You'll keep it closed, keep it with you, and then when you want to refill your magazine, you can simply open this up, spiral it around, put the first one in, and pop it over like that. Transfer them into the magazine. So it saves you having to buy more magazines, and that's quite helpful. Unlike the previous day, we do actually have some form of a plan for the morning's proceedings, and I begin by fetching Anton from the farmhouse and heading to a nearby dam in search of ground squirrels.
Okay, we've got a lot of ground squirrels here on the other side of this dam, so let's just take a little walk over, see if we can get any.
Ground squirrels are like hamsters in the night. They just don't stop moving. So it's inevitable that some will get away, especially when you have to operate the rifle and the scope cam at the same time. But patience does pay off, and this one gets 34 grains to the head at 1,000 feet per second. Another one pops up shortly after.
Another one down. I tell you what, it's an absolute mystery how you can shoot a ground squirrel in the head and then it just vanishes. But I think I know what's happening here. Ground squirrels are known to pull their injured or dead family members down the holes to prevent predators from smelling them and coming to collect them. So it's a way of defending the colony, and unfortunately that one is gone somehow. But I did shoot a second one, so let's go find him. Well, here's the second one. This one wasn't so lucky. He didn't have friends to rescue him, or not rescue him, but dispose of his body, and here he is. Perfect shot in the top of the head. I don't think I got it perfect on scope cam. I think my focus was a bit off, but glad to finally actually retrieve one today. Cool stuff. Let's keep going.
With no more squirrels wanting to show themselves, we move on to another spot a few kilometers away. You'll remember these fields from past episodes. They can be very fruitful in the right season, and we do get 1 or 2 opportunities, although it does seem a little bit less active than usual. How far do you think that is? 75? Probably. Good. With squirrels, you often don't have time to use a rangefinder. I estimate the range perfectly on this one and time my trigger pull perfectly. Definitely the best airgun squirrel shot of the day. And you can already see the mirage getting quite bad here, but I just nicked this one in the head from a similar distance and he goes down too.
Well, we've come out to the field where we often have good success on the ground squirrels, but as you can see, the grass is so long right now that even if they were around, we probably wouldn't see them. I know they've got a lot of colonies and stuff at the back there, but with this long grass, not a chance we're going to see them. They're just going to be too well hidden. Plus, we've got an eagle flying around here, and eagles are not friends with ground squirrels, so I'm guessing that they're not going to want to poke their heads out. But anyway, we have found those other ground squirrel spots that we've had success on this morning and a couple days ago, so we've always got a place to fall back on. But it's kind of bittersweet because I was quite keen to shoot some ground squirrels here, but it's so nice to see that everything's growing again. Last time we came here, it was so dead. It actually, I think the drought wiped out a lot of the ground squirrels here on the land. So, yep, good to see some greenery.
I've lent Anton my old FX Royale, and although he hasn't managed to get any squirrels down yet, he takes the opportunity on a dove for dinner.
Another one down for the pan tonight.
We realize after a while that we just aren't going to get many more opportunities with the air guns. This impact is probably the ultimate PCP for ground squirrel control, but we need to reach out a little bit further, so Old Faithful impact gets put away for the time being, and out comes the 260 for the second time in the morning as the squirrels begin to show themselves at distance.
217. Okay.
I have a lot of trust in my 260, and it's quite unusual to miss 3 times in a row, even at this distance. I felt pretty comfortable behind the rifle, and I think I timed my trigger pull pretty well. My feeling is that I probably should have measured the wind first. It seems that I missed by millimeters, and one click for wind could have done the trick. But just to be sure, I switched to the trusty 22-50. It's better for scope cam anyway, with the reduced recoil, and although this is the bottom of the range element scope on here, the Helix, it's still more than clear enough and seems to work really well with the scope cam. One thing I should mention is that the reticle you're seeing here actually isn't available right now. My scope is an early sample of the Helix, and we subsequently decided to not make this reticle available as yet, but I'll leave a link down below so you can see the available reticle options. We do have some pretty severe mirage to deal with now, but the 22-50 gets down to business, and it's a beautiful thing to see.
I don't know if I got him or not. So, I took the 260 out here. We spotted some ground squirrels in the distance, and we're struggling a bit with the air rifles, just trying to get close enough to them. So, took the 260 out. I missed a couple shots. I'm not sure why. I could have misranged them, or they're moving back and forward, and the 260 doesn't shoot quite as flat as the 22-50 up close. So we switched, we got the 22-50 out, and we've hit quite a few now, so really happy with that.
I've been holding a little for the wind up until this point, but I decided to measure properly and dial it into the scope. I give it 3 clicks for a left to right and take a pot shot at a rock for confirmation.
Perfect. So just to check that my data was correct, I found a rock out there at 220, took a shot, and it was dead center. And you saw what this gun can do on the first day we came here. When I confirmed 0, it put all 3 shots basically on top of each other. So this gun's incredible. It's perfect for work like this, and it's just showing me that it's spot on. I wasn't holding enough for the wind, so I've done that now. Should be spot on, but now we have to wait for them to come up again. Ridiculous. I just see his fluffy tail. I popped him just as he showed his head. I actually didn't even need to wait for him to show his head, because if you shoot a squirrel in the bum, it's still gonna explode. But yep, waited for him a bit and took the shot, and smack bang in the middle. So perfect.
With the windage dialed in, it becomes way too easy with this gun. I know that the precision capability is about the same size as the center dot on a good day, so if the dot is on the squirrel and your turrets are dialed in correctly, it is game over. Even for Anton, who has very little experience with this rifle, it's a walk in the park. 250 meters, no problem whatsoever.
No, just leave it like it is for the camera.
Got him dead center. Aimed and he slowly dropped right there. He never felt anything, so I'm happy with the shot.
And of course, there is the retrieval, not always a pretty sight, but it's always good to clean up after yourself and respect the farmer's land. He certainly doesn't want his fields littered with ground squirrel corpses.
Bunch of squirrels. We got them solid. No more pests on this land.
The retrieval part can sometimes be a bit tricky because everything looks different over here to how it looked from 200 meters away. From here it just looks like a whole bunch of holes, so you gotta basically look down every hole to see if you can find them.
This guy was not the smartest, and while we were picking up the squirrels, he gave Anton a shot with a Royale from less than 10 meters, believe it or not. Well, just an hour ago, I would have said that we probably wouldn't have shot much here. We'd driven around, we'd seen no action. It looked like the grass was a bit too long. But then we saw this one patch, which is a little bit more open. And we were parked about 220 meters away, somewhere around there.
230.
And took out the 260 Remington first, but for some reason missed 3 shots in a row. I don't know if I misranged or something like that. Obviously the 260 is a bit more sensitive to error with ranging at closer ranges. This one shoots a bit flatter, so we switched to the 22-250. I know the 22-250 is a attack driver, and we just started smashing them. I had the Element Helix on top. The first time I'm actually making a video with the scope on a rifle, and put the scope cam on, hit record, and just started blasting them. And between probably 200 and 250 was the longest shot. Anton took the longest shot. We were just smashing them, so really happy with that. We got probably more than this down. I think some of them were dragged down their holes by the others, or just died down their holes. But I think it's a pretty good haul, considering that we were in such a bad drought just a few months ago, and probably many of them starved. So really happy with that. And then Anton, as we came close here, Anton smashed one with the Royale. So it's actually quite nice to see the Royale being used, because it's been sitting in my cupboard for a while. I haven't used it in a while because obviously I've got the Impact and the Crown and some newer effect guns, but this one is a classic. It's one of the few guns that I refuse to sell. And I just brought it over and gave it to Anton and said have fun, and he's been really enjoying it. So it's nice to see some new life being breathed into the good old Royale, and it's been a good day. We've got some more this morning actually as well with the air gun, and now a few with the centerfires, so good combination.
Yeah.
So time for a lunch break. We're going to be out and about again in probably an hour's time, 45 minutes time, off to the neighboring farm to shoot some geese and stuff on the lands. But for now I'm back at camp. We're going to just get some food in our stomachs and fill up our water bottles, stuff like that, check some of the footage. I've got some biltong for lunch and some spaghetti. I didn't think of bringing anything like cheese or anything to put on the spaghetti, but we'll just have to make do with what we have and see if we can enjoy it still. We did head out after lunch and had an awesome afternoon, but we're going to end this episode here and leave the afternoon's footage for another one. Remember to subscribe if you haven't already done so. You're not going to want to miss the next episode. It's another combo of air guns and powder burners as we head out after dussies before blitzing a few guinea fowl and monkeys on a potato farm to end off the day. Thanks for watching once again, and I'll see you on the next one.